don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but I'm gonna try to build with round walls again in The Sims 4. Specifically, I want to try to build a lighthouse in Tartosa. I've got this vision of an old lighthouse that's no longer in operation and they've turned it into a community space instead. I'm kind of thinking like a museum, a park, maybe even a wedding venue could all be wrapped up into one on this lot. And I want to build it over here on this little island in the bottom of the map. This feels like the perfect location to build something like this. It's like it was destined to have a lighthouse on it. And I was sat here thinking I was some kind of genius for having this idea, and then I just tilted the camera a little bit and look what's right over there in the environment of Tartosa already. There is a lighthouse literally right next door. But that's fine. Maybe this is like the old lighthouse and the new one is over there or something. Let's just try to not look too closely at that, okay? So there could be some kind of rounded tower on one side, which I know is kind of scary because that involves us using the round walls. And that'll be really tall, like the actual lighthouse bit. And then next to it, I want to have some kind of older building, maybe what would have been the house that belonged to the family who ran the lighthouse. But now, because nobody lives here anymore, it's like a public park space instead. And I did actually build this live over on my Twitch channel first, so I've got a full speed build for you today. But let's just jump right into it and I'll kind of walk you through what I've built, of course, starting with those nightmarish round walls. The reason I say that is because the round walls are just notoriously difficult to work with. It's kind of funny looking back on because I was so excited to get these round walls in an update. I fully thought it would be a complete game changer for me. And now that we've had them for a little bit, I very rarely use them. In fact, I kind of actually intentionally avoid using them for the most part. It's not necessarily because they're glitchy, they're just really annoying and they don't really work right with the constraints of the rest of the game. Like for example, right here, I've put a square next to them. There's a completely flat, normal, straight wall next to it. And sometimes you have some weird issues with like clipping in between them. You can even see like some weird little bits of like roof texture that it tried to add in there. That's what those shadows are on the side. You can't use like 80% of the doors or windows on them. They're really difficult to put staircases in. In this, I had to use ladders because no stairs would fit inside of this area. Even like trim and platforms can be kind of strange around them. Like the round walls just don't quite work right. They're a cool feature, but it's not a thing that I want to use all the time. Of course, in this case, they're perfect. So I really wanted to make it work here. I was really brave, and I think we pulled it off with this building. One thing that I'm not super set on is that I feel like it's a little bit too big. Like the tower is just a little bit too wide all the way around. I kind of wish it was a little bit skinnier, but it's not possible. This is the smallest circle room that can be physically made in this game. I also can't really make the tower much taller in the constraints of the game either, so it's just a little bit weird in that way as well. But we kind of have to let ourselves forget about the weirdness and just make it work somehow. So you can see on the very top, I've got a square. It's like a 2x2 tile full of windows. I was kind of trying to have that be like the glass where the light would be on the top of the lighthouse. I wish it was a little bit shorter, or at least somehow maybe the tower was a little bit taller. Like I went back and forth a lot on how I wanted to do this and the wall heights that I wanted to use. So that part's going to be kind of a process as we go through this. You'll even see me randomly looking at pictures of real life lighthouses, just kind of trying to get a vibe. In real life, they're often tapered as well, which you just can't do in The Sims. That's not possible. As far as color scheme goes, I was kind of inspired a little bit by those real life ones as well. Most of the building is white, like all the way around, but we do have a bright red door as an accent, and then like red plants, red tables with red umbrellas outside. Like that was kind of the energy I was trying to achieve. It's really small. Like the building itself is not very big in here. What it ends up becoming is a park community lot. So I uploaded to the gallery as a park. Parks have a kind of simple list of things that they require. You need to have playground equipment, you need to have like a grill and some outdoor tables, you need a chess table. And I sort of like that on park community lots, like the whole family will come, there'll be kids around, there's adults around. I think it's kind of a nice place to visit with your Sims, and there is no park in Tartosa. So that's what I went for with this. It's about to change quite a bit too, because the downstairs, I'm actually gonna get rid of the round bit on the bottom floor, and we're gonna add like a sunroom almost at the base of the tower, and that's gonna become a wedding venue as well. So there's like an indoor space with a wedding arch and some chairs, and then inside we also have kind of like a living room sort of area upstairs, and then there is also going to be like a banquet type of room, or like some kind of place that you could eat food basically, and a kitchen in here so you could cook if you were gonna have a caterer at your event. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Right now you can see me trying to test out some of the wallpaper. I had seen a few pictures of lighthouse lighthouses in real life that were like red and white striped. So I kind of wanted to try something like that. That was actually wallpaper that came from Eco Lifestyle. It was like mostly white and the bottom had a little red strip. So I tried using it a couple of times to see if we could have the striping. It did not work. Then I was trying to look at this balcony situation. That did not work. You could see that when I made it touch the main wall of the main building, it kept like deleting the walls and making it be empty and open to the outside. I was getting so frustrated working with this. That's one of those times where round walls just do not work. Like, it's being so annoying. You can even see the gap in between where the round bit and the flat bit meet. And I could fix it by like putting a room back in randomly. It just, oh, it was so weird. It was so weird. It does work out in the end. I know that you're watching this probably thinking like, oh my God, this is a disaster. It's never gonna work. But I swear it actually does come together at the end. It took some time and some fiddling with it to make it happen. But while I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to make this work, I've got a couple of life updates for you. I tend to use these speed builds that way, and last week I didn't mention a single thing about my personal life in that video. Maybe that's a good thing. It depends why you watch these. I don't know. But I've got an update about my travels because I just went to England for a wedding and I got to go to Stonehenge while I was there. So Dan's parents live like an hour drive away from Stonehenge, and I've always wanted to go. I understand that Stonehenge itself is not like the most absolutely amazing, impressive location for most people. A lot of people look at it and think like, okay, it's some rocks, like whatever. But for me, I would love to see it. I've always thought that, especially because of how close it is to where his parents live. Like, an hour drive is nothing. I've been an hour away from Stonehenge like dozens of times in my life, and I have never been to see it. Meanwhile, his parents have lived there for their entire lives. They've never been to see it. So I've been like begging and pleading, like, please can we go to Stonehenge while we're there? I could have probably gotten like a tour bus or something, but it's sort of an ordeal to do that when you can just drive. Like, if someone in your family can just take you instead of trying to like go into London and get a bus, it's like backwards to do that. So anyway, I convinced them to come with me to Stonehenge. I went last week, had the best time ever. I was thrilled to get to see it. And then Stonehenge is like an hour drive away from Bath, which I have also always wanted to go to. So we kind of did like a 2-in-1 thing that day. Went to Stonehenge first, got to see that, and then went to Bath afterward. We walked around, we had lunch there, took some pictures, went to the Roman baths that they have there. Honestly, best day ever. I've been to the UK quite a bit, obviously having dated a British man long distance for years and like now having been married to him for a while. I've been to visit him and his family many, many times in my life, but I haven't actually done that much like travel wise in the UK, because when you're visiting family you often just like stay at their house, so we kind of just like stay there and we don't really go around elsewhere and do other things. But I really want to do more of that, so I was very excited that I got to. We also saw Evita in London while we were there. Amazing, incredible. It was so good. And of course the main point of the trip was Dan's cousin's wedding, also amazing and incredible. Had a wonderful time there too. But I've been home now for like 2 weeks. I'm a little bit delayed in updating you on this story. I've posted some pictures on Instagram though, if you wanted to go see them. You might not care, but if you do care, I posted them on Instagram, so there's that. And my other big life update is that I went to see Lady Gaga in Miami last week. We managed to get last minute tickets. I live in Orlando, so I'm like 4 hours away from Miami. Managed to get last minute tickets, drove down same day. Like, I bought these tickets at like 11 a.m. and I drove down to Miami that day to go see the concert. I bought them, threw some bags in the car, and left. Like, it was that quick of a turnaround. I was a little bit nervous about it because I've never driven that far before myself, which sounds kind of dumb, I know, whatever. I've driven like 2 hours myself, max. I've never been 4 hours away myself. I've been with my parents and stuff, obviously, but like I haven't driven my car that far. And also we have an electric car, which has been wonderful and fine when driving around locally, like around here. I go to the grocery store pretty much and that's it most times, because I work from home and like I don't really get out very much. So we've not driven the car that far either, and I was super scared about that because we haven't really had to charge it in public very much either. So I've had a lot of hang-ups about driving my car all the way to like Miami, for example, because that's a long way. But turns out it was fine. We had to charge it once on the way. Took like 15 minutes. Wasn't a big deal. Got there, had to valet. The hotel only had valet parking, which I was kind of annoyed about. And it was $75, which I was also kind of annoyed about. But then I thought more about it, and the alternative would be for us to take the train down to Miami, which is new. They only opened it like couple last year, I forget when, recently, but it would have been like $130 each round trip to get the train. So actually the $75 for one night of parking was better. It was like a fourth of the cost. The trip home was less easy and less pleasant. So this is why I didn't upload on Tuesday, in case you were wondering. We left the hotel at 7:30 in the morning. I thought I'd be home by like noon. I had a video recorded. I was like, we can edit it and upload it probably by like the early afternoon. Maybe I could get up a little bit late that day. It would be fine. Anyway, I didn't get home until 6 p.m. So that was really unpleasant. I think part of the issue was that one, the car obviously wasn't fully charged when we left. It was like 30% leaving the hotel. So we had to stop to charge a lot more. One of the chargers, terrible, so slow, unbearable. We waited forever trying to charge the car, got it back to like 30% again. Traffic was bad. It was so hot that day, and I think that the air conditioning being on was like making the car struggle. We bought cheese and crackers at a Publix while we were charging one of the times, and it was like sliced cheese, okay? It melted together into a glob of goo. That's how hot it was in the car because the sun was like beating down on us the entire way, which is fine. I live in Florida, I know. I'm just trying to like make you understand how miserable this journey home was. Also, I'm exaggerating a little bit because it got to be like 1 p.m. and we were still like 2 hours away from home, and my parents were kind of nearby at the beach, and so we went like 20 minutes out of our way to meet up with my parents for lunch, and then like left and came back home afterwards. So we did have a break in the middle of this nightmare journey, but we made it home. It was fine. I think in hindsight, I probably would do it again, although if it can be avoided, I would prefer to not go to concerts in Miami is my final verdict on that. The concert was great. I had an amazing time. Like, it was so fun. I loved it, and I'm glad that I went. Obviously, I'm just kind of joking about the trip home. It was well worth it. Like, it was fine, but it was kind of like a comical trip considering it was only supposed to take 4 hours. But wow, I just yapped and yapped and yapped. So much has changed with the build since I stopped talking. So let me just catch you back up to speed real quick. So the first major thing is that I added that sunroom underneath the base of the tower, which I think made a big difference. It kind of helped it feel like it fit in a little bit more. And now we're starting to add in some landscaping. So I've got loads of bushes around the whole outside. I was trying to do slightly minimal landscaping, which now looking at this doesn't really seem very minimal, but basically I wanted the plants that I put in to kind of blend in with the environment of the island, at least a little bit, because I was sort of trying to imagine that the island was all the park. Like, obviously our lot that we're building on is only 20 by 20, but in real life, this whole little island would be part of the park, right? So I kind of wanted it to really feel like that if you came here with your Sims to visit it. Outside, I'm gonna wanna have a couple of tables. I'm gonna have a swing set, and then I also wanna have a picnic blanket so that your Sims can woohoo here if they want to. Right now, the ones that I've placed aren't gonna stay. Like, that's just sort of temporary, me trying to visualize the scale of what I'm trying to put in. I don't intend to use a blue and yellow swing set, don't worry. I just wanted to have the lot requirements for the park outside, partially so I wouldn't forget, but also because I find it annoying when you don't have the lot requirements and it's giving you like a warning message saying you need to add them still. So I just put it down. The flowers that I'm adding in right now are actually debug from Life and Death. They're like Life and Death poppies. I kind of like the little red accents, and they're not like too big or too busy. So I use those around the place a little bit. There are no other red flowers on this island, like nowhere else in the environment, but I liked them so much, and I liked how they looked with the door. So I decided to keep it. I struggled a little bit with where I wanted to put the swing set and also how many swing sets I wanted to put, because I was thinking about having just the one off to the side. Then I was thinking I could put 2 of them and kind of like pile them together. I switched from the left to the right multiple times, so you're gonna see that probably change a couple of times. It's kind of funny because I feel like I don't really build parks on small lots like this very often. It's very rare that I would build a park on a 20 by 20 lot, especially when the park itself is like a building. Normally if I built a park here, it would be just like a bunch of stuff outside. So it was kind of hard to fit all the things in a relatively small space, and I didn't really want it to look too busy out here either. So I was being kind of weird about my whole layout. I've got right now those Riviera Retreat tables off to the side because I love the red scallop on the umbrella. So I used those. I put a couple benches with some nice views of the water around the place too. And then the most important part obviously is that woohoo blanket that I told you about. I've got like a cute red and white checkered version. I put that just outside somewhere. For a bit, I was thinking about trying to have a patio, like putting some flooring down outside. And then I didn't like how it looked, so I kind of scratched that idea. I think it's better just to be all grass and blend into the rest of the island. Most of my Twitch chat agreed about that too. We all kind of just didn't really like how it looked. I did think about trying to have a fountain, because that would be kind of a nice, like realistic little touch. Then it felt like that was too big. So I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do this entryway. I was especially annoyed that the lot doesn't go up until the edge where the little like pathway ends. This is one of the biggest culprits in the game. Like, this lot is one of the worst ones, but it happens pretty often. I don't understand why they do this, because they've got a pathway leading up to the lot. And then the pathway doesn't actually touch the lot. So if you want to have like a sidewalk up to the front door or like a terrain paint path, there's just a gap of grass in between it, and it bothers me so much. I always want that little like edge of the stone to be right up against the edge of the lot. There should be no exceptions. I feel like they've heard our feedback on that because it hasn't really happened as much in more recent packs. I can think of a couple in the Love Struck world that were like that. I can't remember about Inniscreen, the fairies world. I think maybe the ones in the fairies world, if there are any, it might feel a little bit less egregious just because there is like a lot of outdoor farm-like area. It's more annoying to me when there is an obvious path and the path doesn't go to the lot. If there isn't an obvious path, it's fine. It's just when there is and I can't match it, you know? But with that, we're mostly done with the exterior. I'm just adding in some little last-minute details like some rocks, because there's loads of rocks around the outside, obviously. For a little bit there, I thought about trying to add in a gazebo, but then I thought it just looked weird. Like the lot was too small to justify it. It didn't really make sense, so I ended up scratching that idea too. I'm glad I tested it out to try it, because it would have been kind of nice if we could have had one of those, but it wasn't gonna work. And now we are finally moving on to the inside. I know that when I was yapping, I did the floor plan and I haven't really talked about it yet, so I'll do that now. This first room is obviously going to be the little wedding area. It's a relatively small space. It only has 8 chairs inside of it, which doesn't really matter because Sims don't really sit in the chairs anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. But there is like a little wedding arch and there's an aisle to walk down. I tried to put some flowers in here and I decorated the entire thing just plain white. I thought about maybe trying to add in some accent colors of flowers and stuff, but then I was thinking that if you wanted to have your Sims get married here, it's probably easier if it's all just plain white, because then it's sort of like a blank canvas and you can add extra accent colors that you want instead of being stuck with like dark blue or red or something that I've put in there. I think the white just appeals more broadly to most players and like most of my Sims weddings, you know? We're quickly jumping all the way upstairs, and this upstairs area is gonna be kind of like a library and also kind of like a seating area for your Sims. I wanted to have a computer up here and mostly just like some couches and some places to sit. I used a lot of that like dark red accent color, mostly inspired by this rug that I just placed down. All the furniture is very traditional. I'm kind of trying to go for like old historic lighthouse, and we want the furniture to match like the time period. Granted, there is no actual time period and there's no actual history to this place. It's all pretend, but that's kind of what I was going for in terms of decor. There is a lighthouse little lamp that comes in cats and dogs, so I used that a couple times around the inside. Also, just lots of cats and dogs furniture in general, like the couch and that accent chair are both from cats and dogs that I put up here. The bookshelves along the back wall are from Get to Work, I'm pretty sure. And then I put a games table in here. I tried to put a dartboard. I'm a little bit nervous about the dartboard because it's sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of big, and also I'm just picturing this is probably like a high traffic area, and so I'm imagining your Sims trying to like walk by to the couch and there's just darts flying from across the room. It's probably not the best place to have that kind of thing, but I did it anyway. At first I was thinking about trying to put 2 computers on this little table like this, but then I thought it looked kind of weird, so I don't know. I went back and forth on that a little bit as well. I think I ended up just putting the 1 computer instead because it looked better to not have it be wider like this. I put some fishing decor in from the Everyday Clutter kit, and I'm pretty sure the clutter that I put on this desk I actually ended up getting rid of. I always go back and forth with this when I'm building community lots, because on one hand I think it's kind of nice to have things like sticky notes and pens out, because then you can pretend that the Sim who's sitting there is actually using them and like is actually using the desk. But also, if nobody is sitting there, it's kind of weird to have clutter all over the desk because it's like a public space. Like, why isn't it clear for the next person to use? So I'm never sure where I fall on that. I started with clutter and I think I ended up getting rid of it at the end, which is kind of sad, but it's fine. You can see I rotated that desk around and I've got just a more simple setup with a lamp and stuff instead at the end. I really like how the upstairs looks though. I think it's a kind of realistic and nice and cozy little area. One weird thing that I did is I put this little table with a plant and the table is kind of clipping into the wall, and I just let it do that. I left it there anyway. I probably shouldn't point it out to you because now you know about it, but yeah, I just let it clip. I figured that it was kind of hidden by the plant so you couldn't tell. Yeah, but I'd prefer to have a table than no table, and that's just how it fit. I even tried getting rid of the wall, but but I didn't like how it looked like that, so I let it clip instead. You can see upstairs there's a little door next to that games table. That's how you access the balcony that goes around the lighthouse tower. That's also how you get inside of the lighthouse tower. You have to go through that door to get up there. You can't put a door in between the round wall and this straight wall. It doesn't work. So you have to have two doors, one outside of the straight wall and then one inside of the round wall. Jumping back downstairs, the entryway is pretty small and simple. I've just got some artwork from Cats and Dogs. I put the lighthouse light again. And then straight through the entryway, I've got that really cool ship model in the hallway. That's actually, I think it's supposed to be a model of the island part in Cats and Dogs. Is it called like Dead Grass or something? I forget. But there's a museum there where the lighthouse is in Cats and Dogs. Because there is actually a lighthouse in Brindleton Bay, and you can woohoo in it, which if you didn't know that, now you do. But there's like a little model of that island because there's a museum on the lighthouse island. So I used that model and I put it here inside of this lighthouse. The lighthouse in Brindleton Bay is just like a rabbit hole. It's like a fake thing that you can click on. This one obviously is a real building. Downstairs there are two bathrooms with just a toilet and a sink in them. I did put a changing table, I think, in one, or maybe I tried and it didn't fit. Oh boy, I can't remember. Oh well. There may or may not be a changing table in here. And then there's also a fully functional kitchen on this lot. Partially again because I was thinking about this being like a historic home. The story is that a fancy rich sim who ran the lighthouse used to live here and now it's been turned into a museum. So maybe the wedding area used to be their dining room and maybe the kitchen was their kitchen and now they use it for events instead. So I wanted to have a fully functional kitchen so that you could hire somebody to like cater your wedding for you. The only thing is that there's not a bar anywhere on this lot. So it's not like perfect as a wedding venue, but it is functional for like birthday parties and weddings and stuff if you wanted to. The kitchen just has like some counters and a stove and a fridge. There's a little tiny table inside of the kitchen too for you to sit and eat if you wanted to. And then that other room, I've got a banquet table in there right now. It's the one from the event that happened back at Christmas time. Or maybe, no, the banquet table is actually from the event in the spring. It's like the Sims anniversary event thing. But there's a little like buffet table right there so you could stock that instead of having to cook food yourself. And then I just put a couple seats. There's like a couch inside of that room. A funny story about that room is that I thought I had finished the whole build. Like I did all the exterior, I furnished the kitchen, I furnished the whole inside, so I thought. And then I went to start to put it on the gallery and I was like, oh my God, I didn't furnish the living room. So I had to go back and like finish it at the end. I left that room empty for a very extended period of time. You're gonna see me now go back upstairs. I'm gonna work on the tower part of the lighthouse. And I just in my head thought I had finished the downstairs and I didn't. I hadn't finished it yet. This was kind of a cute detail. I added a couple of those little plaques. They're actually get to work plaques, and I put a few of them around the place because I'm trying to channel that historic home energy. And so I put some plaques in here almost so it looked like maybe they had some information about who used to live here. Like it's kind of like a museum plaque with a story. It is actually the same one multiple times, but in real life there would be different writing on them, right? In this first part of the lighthouse, on this like ground floor, or well, it's like the second floor, I guess, but on this first part, I made it into like a little storage room right here. If you want to visit the top of the lighthouse, you have to climb ladders, but on this base level, there's a little storage closet and you could woohoo in that too. So there's two woohoo spots on this lot, but it's kind of just like a employees only access, you know, that kind of thing happens in real life too. So I tried to tell that sort of story in this area. I was also trying really hard to put artwork and things on the walls on that round part, but it's so hard because I wanted to have that like captain's wheel on the wall in there, but the thing is the wheel is completely flat and the wall is curved. So when you put it on there, there's like a gap and you can see the gap on the curved wall. So I got rid of it. You can kind of put small artwork on the curved walls. When it's a smaller thing, like a little plaque, you can't really tell, but when it's big and super flat like the wheel, you can definitely tell. So I did not keep that in the end. I put it upstairs instead. This next level, the like second level of the lighthouse tower, this one I tried to pretend was like a display of the old owner's office. So they've got it furnished like how they would have had it furnished back in the day, and you can walk in there and you can like look and see the old captain's office or whatever. Really, it's just a desk and a computer. Or maybe it's not even a computer. It might just be a desk, but that's kind of what I was trying to pretend was happening. I had a hard time with this bit too because you can't really do anything with the corner. I've got that ladder there in the middle, but you can't put a wall next to it on either side. So I tried to hide it using some of the little pillar decor items from City Living, and then I put a plant there to block the empty space, but I was kind of frustrated by that. Again, round walls, you just can't always put everything where you want it to be in there. But that's sort of the end of the office. I put a couple pictures and things on the wall, and it looks all right. Oh, there is a computer. It's a typewriter, and I have a quill. So that's fun. There's two things. I've got like a fake custom gallery wall in there too of some artwork that I have placed. You can see the gap if you look really close, but if you don't look that close, you can't tell. And wow, this is really sped up. It's kind of making me feel dizzy. It's almost done, I promise. It's like in that tiny little circle. The zooming around with the camera is a bit much, but anyway, we're basically just adding in some last minute touches. I've got like some books on the wall and like a log book. I wasn't really sure what to put at the very top of the lighthouse. I tried out a couple of different lighting options. I actually cut that part from the video because it was so repetitive and ridiculous. I kept trying to go into debug and find lights. I was using different spotlights. I put a bunch of just regular lights in there, and I kept going into live mode at night to see if it looked like it was bright at the top of the lighthouse, and it all looked the same. Like you couldn't even tell that I had done anything to make it look like a fancy lighthouse. So I ended up just not doing it. Like I really wanted to have a spotlight up there like it would be in real life, but it didn't work. They all looked like I had just a regular light on. So instead I just had access to the balcony part, and I put a telescope. But maybe because we're trying to tell a story of this being an old lighthouse that's no longer in use, they've gotten rid of the spotlight part. Maybe that's what happened. Anyway, that is the speed build part complete. So I want to pop back into the game now and give you a tour of the finished product. As a reminder, we're on that little tiny island place in Tartosa, and on the gallery, it's called Lighthouse Point Park. It unfortunately uses a whole bunch of packs. It's like 2 pages of packs. This is what it looks like if you're searching for it on the gallery. And this is what it looks like when you first place it. So, oh my God, this is bothering me so much. This little bit right here, that's like the first thing I look at and see. That's because of the round walls. I can't get rid of that. But anyway, when you first walk up to the lot, I've got like this little pathway right here. We have a blanket with a picnic basket. I did put 2 of the swing sets in the end. They're kind of poking off the lot a little bit too, but they're still functional, so you can use them. I actually put one of them facing this way and one of them facing the other way, so when Sims are sitting there, they'll swing opposite directions. Doesn't actually matter, but I thought it was kind of a cute detail to have people like maybe swinging towards the water or swinging this way, I don't know. Over here, I've got a kind of cool like anchor statue. We've got a couple benches, one in the front and then another one back here. This one has a really nice view. If you wanted to sit on this bench and like, I don't know, stargaze like the rest of the Sims townies like to do, that is a good stargazing spot. But that's kind of the whole outside. For a park, it isn't really that park-like. There's not a lot of outdoor space. Most of it is inside. We do have a couple of rocking chairs on the front porch, and then when you walk through this little front door, there's a very tiny entryway right here. There's like umbrellas and some decor. This is that thing I was telling you about, the island model. So there is a lighthouse in it, which is pretty cool. And they have like an old ship's wheel on the wall. And then this is the room, the living room that was lost, but it is done now. We've got that banquet table. There's like a ship and a place to sit. There's an old typewriter on display. So you can kind of see how it's got that little museum energy. These are the 2 bathrooms. There is no changing table, unfortunately. I remember now that I tested it and the Sims wouldn't use it. It wasn't functional, it was too small in here, so I didn't end up putting one. This is the little kitchen space, so you can cook your meals in here if you needed to. And then way over this way, this is the place where you can get married. Look at the view behind you. For the wedding, you can see the lighthouse. The other lighthouse can be seen from the back of the window. Getting married in a lighthouse with a view of the lighthouse. But upstairs, we have a little games table right here with like a lighthouse on display. There's a computer, there's a sitting area with a tea set, there's a bunch of books in here. We do have out of this door a little balcony with a chess table. There's another one downstairs too. And then through this door, this is how you access the actual lighthouse tower. There is an easel right here, so you could paint from reference from this and look at the view there. Or you could walk inside through this little door and it'll take you into the tower. We have a place to woohoo right here and like some things on display. Upstairs again, I've got some more decor in here. This is that like weird little nook that I was telling you about. I tried to take some of these things and I stacked a few of them together so it looks like a solid wall back here. That's just because I really didn't like how it looked like this, but you can't put a wall there. Like it doesn't work. It would clip outside. Like, so I didn't even bother. I didn't mess with that. We do have the little captain's office in this area. It's so tight height, I know, but this is what it looks like. It's because this is a tall wall height right here. And then at the very top of the tower, there's another easel and also a telescope. You can see I also put this. This is a debug light. That's so that it hopefully looks a little bit brighter at nighttime, but even then, you can't tell. It's not giving bright lighthouse tower, but I tried. It just always looked like this. I think because it's through the windows, I couldn't get it to be brighter. But I think on that note, that covers the entire build. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. I actually really had fun building this. It's a little bit different from what I usually build because obviously I mostly like to build houses. And this one is kind of like a house, but it's a house community lot. And the views, like I just can't get over how pretty this lot is. It was just fun to build here so I could look at it. But thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Also, as I was recording this, Dan was at the vet with Snap. So if I sound a little bit distracted at any point, it's because I was. I was trying to lock in and keep recording, but it's just hard when you have an elderly pet who's at the vet. Like I'm sure you understand.